Happy New Year, everyone. Tom, it's getting towards the end of January. How's your bank account looking? Mine is a bit empty and payday can't come soon enough.
Yeah, lots of zeros, all in the wrong place.
I know.
It? But luckily, the car makers have the same problem. So there are some proper bargains out there because they're skint. I'm talking half price.
It's the January sales, but for cars, and we have got all the deals you need to know about in this video. But before we tell you, you know what to do. Please subscribe. It is nuts, isn't it, when you think about the bargains that there are around, because it wasn't too long ago that we had a monthly waiting list for cars that we updated, and you were waiting like 20 months for the most basic Vauxhall Corsa, which now I imagine we're going to talk about what a great deal there is on a Vauxhall Corsa.
Yeah, a Volkswagen ID3, do you remember there was the dealer trying to sell one for like £58,000 because there was a 2-year waiting list? And now? Well,
this thing called the ZEV mandate has come in, which is a mandate that's here in the UK, zero emission vehicle mandate. So car makers have to ensure that a certain percentage of the overall cars they sell are electric. That was set at 22% last year. This year it's 28%. Some brands are having to work harder at that than others. So come on, where are we seeing the bargains coming from, Tom?
Well, it's mainly in the leasing market. So, you know, everyone finances their cars, don't they? So we used to do PCP or we used to do HP, which was the really old fashioned way. And now it's a leasing thing. So it's a bit like hiring a car, but for a longer term. And if a car manufacturer needs to shift a few cars, what it will do is just go to one of these leasing companies and say, here, do you want 10, 20, 30, do them a massive discount, and then they pass those deals on to us.
And the thing with those is you have to act quick, don't you? Because those deals are around, they might be on a specific number of cars, and once they're done, they're done. So we often get the latest deals on those, and we will be getting loads of them throughout 2025. So you can actually sign up to our newsletter if you want to know more about that over at electrifying.com. And also we have the deals, you publish them weekly, don't you, on the website as well?
Yeah, absolutely. And sometimes
even daily in some cases.
Sometimes I look in the morning and there's a really good deal and it's gone by the time I published it in the afternoon.
Yeah. Now, a lot of people still want to buy a car the old-fashioned way as well and actually pay money for it. What's the best way at the moment to get that? Ex-demo, pre-registered?
Yeah, ex-demo and nearly new pre-registered cars are a real bargain. So I'm talking about, you can save thousands, sometimes tens of thousands of pounds by buying a car which is just a couple of months old but might have less than 100 miles on the clock.
And we know there was a lot of pre-registering going on towards the end of last year. So what are the deals that you've managed to...
Okay, so I'll just show you some examples. So a Citroën EC4, it was Shine Plus, which is the top one, was originally £34,940. Wow. Now a 2023 car with 141 miles on the clock. Yeah. £16,199. These are examples I found on the Electrifying used car thing. So these aren't auction prices. This is at a dealer advertised on our site.
So that car is less than half price, but it's only driven 141 miles. How much does that cost per mile to drive?
Yeah, you'd probably get a chauffeur for less than that, couldn't you?
Okay.
Okay, you want a really big number though. Porsche Taycan Turbo S, top version, 2024, List price, £161,000, It's got 284 miles on the clock.
Yeah. Go on, go on.
£99,900.
No.
284 miles.
I literally put my jaw back. That's nuts.
I know, £100,000 is a lot of money for a car, but it was £161,000.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, we should go back to reality.
Back to reality, go on. What next?
Kia Soul, one of your favourites.
I love the Soul. It's such a great all-rounder, that car.
Yeah, was £39,000, just over. Yeah, 33 miles on the clock.
Yeah.
17,290.
That's way less than half.
Yeah.
That's insane. No. But I think that it makes sense, I think, with a car like the Soul, because that's been discontinued. So we know that the Soul is no longer. So they're on run out with that model. And that's always a time when you can pick up really good deals on cars, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's a lot of car for the money. It's a great family car, that, for £17,000.
Yeah. Do you want to do one that's just been launched then?
Okay.
Fiat 600e.
Yeah.
Okay, so there are a couple on our website at the moment. And there's one, there's two cars, they're both La Prima versions.
Which is the fancy version, isn't it?
Fancy version, registered on the same day.
Right.
So one that has, 100 miles on the clock? No, 10 miles on the clock, 30,500, which is
still a good. What's that, about £9,000 off?
It's about
price?
£7,000 off.
Okay,
that.
So
that's all right, isn't it?
Yeah, pretty good.
But there's another one which has 252 miles on the clock.
Yeah.
For 23,890. So those are some very expensive 250 miles that someone's done in that. That's
extraordinary,
nuts, isn't it?
And on a more serious note, because when we talk about these cars being pre-registered, they will often have been used as demo cars, won't they, for dealers? Is there anything that people need to look out for, to be aware of? You know, could they have been, I don't know, stood around? You know, might not have been great for the battery in the long term. Do you need to look at the 12 volt? You know, what kind of things should you be checking? Yeah,
I think there were some examples of things like Nissan Lease where it had been sitting around for like 2 years and it's got 10 miles on the clock. And then you have to start asking questions about what's the battery been, has it been stored? So you'd maybe want to have a look at the battery condition and things like that. Are the brakes rusty? Those types of things. Is it been sitting around for so long because it was accident damaged and no one got around to fixing it? Those sorts of things. So it's not as good as buying a brand new car, I would say, but still there are lots of these cars that have been sitting in an airfield or something and they're still bargains.
I mean, I think for, £60,000 off a Porsche Taycan.
Yeah.
I think, I could live with that. Yeah. With not being the first owner.
How good of you, yeah.
Okay, we've got some more great deals that have come through. MGs, talk to me about MGs at the moment.
Yeah, MGs
There's a lot of
are
interesting
a bit
stuff
weird.
going on with them, isn't there?
Yeah, because they don't seem to have been hit by the same problem. So what MG did, and we were talking to the boss guy at MG, guy who said, what he realised is that rather than give all these big discounts and do all this silly, nearly new stuff and pre-registering, he'd just take £10,000 off the list price of the car.
Yeah.
Much simpler. So it would be that an MG5 is now £20,000 brand new, but it doesn't seem to have filtered down to the used market. So they're still £20,000 with like 1,000 miles on the clock or something.
So there's now no downside whatsoever to buying a new MG in many cases. I think it's really interesting because normally if you put 0% finance on a car, you would then expect to see the residuals of that car plummet. I mean, we remember what happened with Tesla a couple of years ago. Was it 2 years ago now? In January, wasn't it? And they literally tanked the price of used Teslas, much to everybody's upset and annoying. So that's unusual that hasn't happened because it's not what we would normally expect from the market.
Yeah.
Should I do a couple?
Yes, please do.
Okay.
Yep.
Well, a car that I really like, actually, Cupra Born. At the moment, there are some really good deals on Cupra Borns. We've got one on the electrifying.com used car listings, £22,000 with delivery miles on it, that's a whopping, what's that about? 13,000 pounds off list price. Very good car that. I've been running one for a while. Super efficient, really nice to drive. And one of your favourites, actually, you've been running a Vauxhall Corsa recently.
It's a courtesy car. It's great.
Tom loves a dead normal car, don't you?
I do.
He loves something that's just not too fancy.
Yeah.
Does what it says on the tin.
It didn't excite me. It's not a car I would have thought I liked, but I really like it. So.
Well, here's one for you. Again, over on the website, £17,500 with 0 miles. Pre-facelift cars. So this is, post the facelift. If you want, you can get in for even less than that.
Yeah.
So are you tempted?
Yeah, well, I saw one go through the auction that was a pre-facelift car, delivery miles again, 13,500.
Wow. Actually, can we jump around a bit and talk about auctions?
Yeah.
Because I got mine of cars from my dad, and I remember him always going to Brighouse auctions in Yorkshire, which was always the place. And it was back in the day where you didn't, strictly speaking, need to be a dealer to go to a lot of those things. If you were somebody who understood the market, you could go, you could pick bargains up. It's different now, isn't it? It's hard for individuals to go and to bid on an auction, but that's where you get the bargains.
It is, there are still a few local auctions that you can go to as a private punter, but most of them are closed and they're just for dealers. But there are dealers out there who specialise in sourcing cars for people.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, there are. There's
Really?
There's one up in Orkney. Orkney's big for electric cars, and there's a guy who comes over to the mainland. He'll send you the auction listing saying, what do you want? And then you do it and he adds a couple of grand on top. But a lot of dealers will do that for you anyway. If you say, can you source me a car?
Okay.
This is what I want. They'll do it for you. And you have to add on the fees for auctions, and obviously the dealer's got to make a profit, but they will do it for you if you want to. And there are a lot of bargains there at the moment.
I love the fact there's a man who buys electric cars for Orkney
Yes.
I feel like we need to talk to him.
I think we need to go to walk. It's a pretty place.
Can somebody send us his details or put us in touch? I need to just have a chat with him. What a brilliant thing to do. So if you really do want to take advantage of auctions, you need to find somebody who can buy for you.
Yeah.
Let's move back now. Let's jump back to leasing. Because interestingly, we talk about PCP. At one point, was it 90% of all new cars are bought through PCP? 85, 90%?
Right. Yeah,
it was really high. It's not dropped off, but what we have seen is the rise in leasing, particularly interesting with electric cars, haven't we?
I think it's because the leasing companies like having electric cars on their books because it means they can write off tax and do all sorts of things. So there are some really good deals on leasing, and generally they're much cheaper than PCP.
Okay, go on, wow me with some of the deals. Come on.
I was talking to the Nissan Leaf has been for a few months the absolute bargain, but it's nuts.
It does, do you?
And I've been told
Every video.
I've been told the cupboard is almost bare on these Nissan Leaf. But 173 quid a month, and that's using my normal terms, 3 years, 8,000 miles a year, and a 6-month advance payment. So it's 173 quid
Have
a
you
month.
single-handedly sold every Nissan Leaf that's been sold in the UK?
Obviously not. They're still trying to get rid of them.
So if you don't know, so the Nissan Leaf has been it's been cancelled, but not for those reasons. So they're not building it anymore at the factory in Sunderland. There'll be a new model coming, but not for a couple of years. So they're selling those off. And as we always say, that's where you can get some of the really good deals. And also it will make Tom really happy if you buy one. I don't know.
Vauxhall Mocha, if you want something a bit more modern, 211 quid a month.
Okay, we've talked about that a lot on the podcast. So we just thought it'd be interesting to do this today, but actually every week on our podcast, which comes here on the YouTube channel, we also have the Barnard's Bargains, which is where this started. And the Vauxhall Mocha has popped up a lot, hasn't it, Tom?
Yeah, Vauxhall just seem to be pushing them out as much as they can. They go up and down a bit, so you need to pick your moment. But at the moment, they are cheap, 211 quid a month. That is with the old battery, and I think they're just about to facelift it, aren't they? So again, that's when you get your bargains.
But if you want an affordable runaround, that's a good car for that level of investment, isn't it? Talking about investment, I've just spotted
or affordable runarounds.
Just spotted on my list a BMW i7 eDrive 50 Excellence.
Yeah.
So you were sourcing these deals today, so I actually haven't seen these yet.
Yeah.
It's a £101,710 car, so well over 100 grand.
Yeah, yeah. 630 quid a month. I know, £630.
That seems extraordinarily low. And is that taking into account? I mean, why is it so low? I mean,
I would imagine BMW had some in stock, and they said to a leasing company, "Can you get rid of these for us?" So they said, "Yeah, we'll take 10, 20, whatever it is," and then they'll put them out at 630 quid a month.
So if you're not like us and you are feeling flush after Christmas and you have £100,000 in your back pocket, well, £630 a month, that's an absolute steal. That's a lot of car for
if
that
you're
money.
a business user, or say you're a airport chauffeur, 630 quid a month, you'll get that back. And that's a really nice posh car, that, isn't it? The i7.
Yeah. And slightly more down to earth than Nissan Aria, a car that we actually like a lot.
Yeah. And there's some strange things in the leasing market where a car which has a cheaper list price, like it'll be the base model, is actually more expensive to lease than a higher model. So this is an E-Force, which is the four-wheel drive one, which is really nice, 311 quid a month, or 312 really, just under. But it's the posher version. That's a really nice car, the Aria.
Okay, so there are a lot of deals there at the moment. And as we talked about this thing called the ZEV mandate that's coming this year, there are going to be increasing numbers of deals throughout the year. So let us know what you think. Have you signed up for any of these deals? Have you found any bargains yourself? Let us know in the comments below. We always love to hear what you think. And if you aren't already subscribed, do make sure you subscribe for the podcast, which comes out weekly with Barnard's Bargains. And then they go onto the website and they're going to go onto our socials as well, aren't they, Tom?
Yeah, absolutely. And just let me know if you see any better deals out there, because I'm always on the lookout for them.
And one other thing that's coming, which is going to be very exciting, we are going to start doing some exciting deals on leasing for used electric vehicles as well, aren't we?
Yes. So that is going to be interesting.
It's going to be exciting when it comes. So if you aren't already, do subscribe. We have these deals, our Barnard's Bargains, in the podcast every week. And you can also find more of them over at electrifying.com. We'll see you soon.